what you have been seeing that are the main obstacles women in the leadership can face?
I noticed the successful ones surround themselves with allies and they stay grounded in their values. When women uplift each other and lean into both confidence and connection, they not only thrive, but they also pave the way for future leaders. Do the work and stick to your values. But ask yourself if the culture of your company matches your values. Values are like glue. They hold people together. They provide stability. The stronger your values, the stronger your organization. So culture is what you see. Values are who you are. So create a life by design, not by default.
She is Karin Bastin, an executive coach, human resource leader, and advocate for growth through leadership. With a deep passion for human connections, she believes that leadership is not just about expertise. It is about trust, authenticity, and vulnerability. In this episode, Karin shares how personal wounds shape leadership, why quality connections at work directly impact employee happiness, and how embracing growth pain leads to transformation. She reminds us that true leadership is not about power. It is about adding value to people and staying grounded in your values, no matter the challenges. So please, grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and enjoy this episode. Welcome to the Brilliantly Branded podcast.
So welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. My guest today is a role model. She's a powerful woman. She's working in different topics. She's a human resources leader. She's an executive coach. She as well advocates for growth through leadership. So leadership is key for her. And what sets her apart is her strong belief in the profound impact of the quality of connections at work, for example, the employee happiness that is part of the topics that we are going to approach today. And I'm sure that with her perspective of growth pain, that is a topic that we are going to talk about, how, for example, personal wounds shape leadership and how that is important in all these concepts. Now she is inspiring others to really embrace all those challenges and those opportunities to do transformations. So I am not going to spoil more information about my guest. I'm going to give a warm welcome to Karin Bastin, and I am going to invite you to please, could you introduce yourself, Karin?
Yes, well, you said it all. I don't know what to add. So I'm going to be 53 years old this year. I'm a mother of 3 big children before all. That's a very important one for me. When I introduce myself, I always speak about my kids. So Wolfgang is 29, Amanda is 26, and Thorsten is going to be 17 this year. And now I am a partner in a global executive search firm called Bernstein, where I have the lead of the leadership advisory practice in Belgium. So I worked in HR indeed all my life. I started my career at Schlumberger right after my studies, and before Odgers, I was HR director at GE Healthcare. I'm also vice president of the Human Capital Committee at AmCham since 2017, and I've been an executive director of the John Maxwell team in the US for the last 10 years. So I developed an expertise around leadership through my journey as a professional, of course. I work every day with CEOs and leaders of all kinds. But I also firmly believe that leadership starts with yourself and is an important part of your personal development.
It is. And I love this introduction where you bring your family first that is part of how leading by example become very important. You are showing how you are doing things in life when you put priority family, that I am so happy to listen in this introduction. And part of I know that you are an expert as well is in generating those connections at work, right? So how is this, for example, quality connections that play a role, very important role? It is important to really contribute to, for example, the happiness of of the employees in the company, or how the engagement. How will you give us more details about that?
Well, Maria, I'm so passionate about this. This is the core of my work. And very young already, I never went to the same school for more than 2 years. So I changed contexts, school, country, even continent regularly. And I realized that everybody can communicate, but only few can really connect. And to me, a quality connection is a relationship built on trust and authenticity. Two things: trust and authenticity. And you know how it starts? It starts with vulnerability. If you dare to make yourself vulnerable and show yourself as you are, you will invite connection. In the workplace, it means leaders truly listening, actively listening, understanding, and valuing their teams. And when people feel seen and heard, they are more engaged, they are more motivated, they are committed. I don't know if you're familiar with the Q12 Gallup question. There is one, it's, do you have a best friend at work? And when I started working with them, I did challenge that question. But at the end, they showed me that the quality of your connections is a big part of your happiness at work. Quality connections create a culture of belonging. You know, we talk about diversity, inclusion, equity, but the belonging part, that's what's directly impacting happiness, performance, and long-term success. I make leaders understand that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, you're right. And there are two questions. And it's actually, you mentioned vulnerability. And mention vulnerability when you are building connections and building relationships, sometimes become vulnerable. It could be seen like a weak part of you, you know. It's like, how can I show myself vulnerable if really I need to show myself strong? And I am talking probably about more about my experience. So how do you think that that should be managed?
Just be yourself, be authentic. You know, we all know that the only thing that is sure in life is that everything changes. So we all have bad stuff in our past. We have losses, misses, we have failures. I had my share. I've known illness at a point where I was afraid for my life. And then deep betrayal at the least expected moment when I was at my weakest. And it is cliche, but it's true. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's not what's happening to you. It's what you do with it.
That
Nobody
is
is
so.
above this. You know, it's just be yourself. Show your wounds. Um, on the other hand, afterwards let it go. When it dominates your thinking and your thoughts, it controls your action. Don't think too much about it. You know, some hold one vision of the past instead of the reality. The great leaders I have met, they all have something in common. At a point of time, they stop complaining. You know, complain, do it once, pick your place, your time, your people once, and then shut up. do the work, give it a place, and let it go. And if you don't, you will trip over things behind you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and actually, that create the resentment as well. Resentment of the way that you are acting, based on what you have been living, and shaping us in certain way. That if we are all the time thinking about that, as you will say, stop complaining. Stop complaining, because is the only one way that the things are going to change. And you mentioned as well pain. And pain is a very important topic here. And in our previous conversation, you was talking about the concept of growth pain,
Yeah. Well,
and this is vital for leadership. And my question is actually how that is important for personal development from your point of view.
oh, it's so crucial. You know, as I said, the only thing that is sure is that everything changes. So growth pain is the discomfort that comes with stepping out of your comfort zone. So when we face challenges, and we all face them, it's our choice. If do we want to evolve or not? It's a natural part of personal and professional development. When you embrace the change, you build resilience and you build deeper self-awareness because you need to know yourself to grow yourself. So for teams, navigating growth pain together, that fosters trust, innovation, and stronger collaboration, even outside of a professional context. You know who your friends are when you are going through something difficult. And for teams, instead of avoiding discomfort, what I see is great leaders, they see it as a sign of progress because real growth never happens in ease, but in the moments that stretch us. When in my work, I give leadership games, for instance, and we talk about serving leadership. I like very much caring leadership, courageous leadership, ethic leadership. It's all about leadership is adding value to people. No more, no less. It's adding value to people. Does
You
that
are
make sense?
completely, yeah, you are completely right. And I love when you say, if you want to really make a change or transformation, you need to know yourself first in
Yes.
order to make that happen. But we all are coming with our set of wounds. you know, this is part of who we are: traumas, wounds, whatever. So actually, I will love you to tell us a little bit about your personal side, about those wounds, how you have been converted that or using that, because you mentioned as well, one thing is what happened to you, but other very different is what do you do what happens to you. So how do you manage that, your wounds?
Well, you do the work. I think it's important to stick to your values. That has been how I've been dealing with my hurts. You know, people don't change. That's what they say. People don't change. But there is um, whatever happens to me, I go back to my values, and they are very clear. I'm correct. I'm transparent. I'm authentic, and I do the right thing. And every time I have to make a choice, I go back to my values. So it sounds very cliche, but at the end, it's true. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
True. Yeah, you are completely right. And I am wondering, how are you shaping all the leadership trainings and all the things? Because I see you are very active all the time. And actually, I was part of one of your events the day to growth that I was absolutely amazing, and I want to actually make people go and check. I'm going to leave the link because it was really impactful. So is how you see other role models, and you come up in the morning and you get out with a transformation inside you. I mean, you do the transformation during that day. So those opportunities to grow, actually, how others practices are you doing with people to shaping them in the leadership path?
Well, I'm really glad you like the conference. I love giving them. Of course, a day to grow. You don't grow in one day, but I do my
Yeah, that's
best.
true.
I do.
That's true. That's true. I was, yes, it's so excited.
Yeah, but it's a muscle. That's why I do executive coaching, and I work with people one on one. I work with teams also a lot. But in my career, I witnessed that excellence is the result of many practices, and we tend to overestimate the event and underestimate the process. So I'm certified with for all kind of assessments techniques. It's my job to assess leaders. So is it MBTI, Strength Finders, DISC, Belbin? We use they're all good. At Odgers we use Hogan. From my perspective, this is the cherry the cherry on the cake, if you ask me.
I
But
don't know about that. I am quite, my knowledge doesn't arrive to that a specific topic. If you can talk us a little bit about that.
yeah, so I within specifically, well, you have a lot of assessments techniques. A few ones use like insights or disc. They use the 4 colors. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the red, yellow, green, and blue.
Yeah.
But Hogan, there are three parts. There is the bright side, what we call the dark side. These are the derailers. What happens
Mm.
when you are under stress? It's all yin yang. Yeah? I mean,
Mm.
there are no perfect profiles. Huh?
Mm.
And then motives and values, and an important one, of course, and that gives the leadership style. But what I noticed through my career and all these assessments, people don't change indeed, but these tests, they are based on values. So if I see a CEO now who did the same test 10 years ago, they're going to have about the same results, because it's often based on values. But I do see people changing a bit. I would say evolving faster when we go through something dramatic, something, a divorce, a sickness, a move, a loss, a big failure. It shakes your DNA, and some embrace that to change positively. So are they evolving or not? That's the question. Belief drives behavior,
Mm.
no matter where you are in your growth, there is no finish line.
Yeah. It's a constant work.
Yes.
Yeah, you are
Yes.
completely right. And part of the things in this podcast and my purpose is women empowerment. We know that we need to close the gender gap. So I would like you to share with us probably what you have been seeing that are the main obstacles women in the leadership can face.
Well, that's a tricky one. Um,
I know.
yeah.
That's what I am doing, that question. And actually, I forgot to say that why is one question, but how we can start to build something more different and more appealing.
Well, I've come across a lot of women, female leaders, as you can imagine. I think the most successful ones are the ones who are growth oriented, not just goals oriented, if that makes sense. I think women in leadership often face unique challenges such as unconscious bias, higher expectations, and the constant balancing act between strength and empathy.
Mhm.
And they may also struggle with self-doubt or feeling the need to prove themselves more than their male counterparts. I've seen some going in their masculine energy.
Mhm.
I think resilience is key. I notice the successful ones surround themselves with allies and they stay grounded in their values. When women uplift each other and lean into both confidence and connection, they not only thrive, but they also pave the way for future leaders.
Yeah, you just mentioned something that I have been put it outside all the time because I think is the key of how we can grow, supporting and lifting between us is very important. I think it is a mindset that probably we have since we were raised. I heard you talking about the unconscious bias, and I found that so interesting. Would you be able to give us an example of how we can recognize that we are being using this unconscious bias in our life?
Well, we're all biased. Let me start with me. Every year I go to a driving course. I learned how to drive in Africa, so I still need to practice. But seriously, I find it important. And every year I see two guys in front of me, some kind of ex-pilots, and they're teaching us how to drive properly. And last year I came in and I was so surprised, positively surprised to see the same guy and a new girl. And I thought, yes, female power, she looked good in her uniform. She knew what she was talking about. She looked very professional. And I thought like, wow, finally. But at a point of time in the afternoon, I was waiting in my car to go through a difficult course. It was with water and oil, and the point was to do a 360, and I was not at ease, let me tell you. So I was waiting for my instructor to come in my car and show me and do the exercise. And then she came in. And you know what my first reaction was?
No.
I hope she can drive.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and I am ashamed to say so, but that was my first reaction. So one way or another, I don't know where that is coming from, but I do associate good driving skills with a masculine energy. There I go. I made my unconscious bias conscious, and I do the work.
Make your unconscious bias conscious. That
Mm-hmm.
is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's fantastic to be aware about that.
Yeah.
That this is how the unconscious biases we recognize it and do something. You
Yes.
did something. Did
Yes.
something.
It
And
starts with awareness. It starts with self-awareness.
exactly. Well, Karin, I think that we have had a conversation amazing with a lot of value. As you well said, leaders are delivering value. And just to wrap up, I would like to know to all our listeners, for example, what will be the bigger takeaway from this conversation between you and I right now?
Well, do the work and stick to your values. Choose 3 to 5 max. Values are like a fingerprint, and yours are unique. So I told you mine. They're very simple: correct, transparent, authentic. I do the right thing. But ask yourself if the culture of your company matches your values. Values are like glue. They hold people together. They provide stability. The stronger your values, the stronger your organization. So culture is what you see. Values are who you are. So create a life by design, not by default.
That is very wise. And I think it's a very good takeaway from this conversation, Karin. I have to say thank you very much for being here. It was really a pleasure, and I know our listeners are going to enjoy our conversation.
Thank you, Maria. It was my pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
We hope you have been inspired by this content and join us for future episodes of the Brilliantly Branded podcast. We will continue exploring the power of branding and the stories behind successful brands. And remember, if you know a woman who has built a successful brand with a unique approach and a story to share, please refer them to our podcast. We would love to learn from their experiences and share their story with our listeners. Stay tuned for most episodes of Brilliantly Branded, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel for more branding insights and women empowerment. Until the next episode, ciao ciao.